Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today on this DivorceRx, your prescription for your divorce process. My name is Vicki Townsend, and I'm the founder of TheCafeD, and we're welcoming you today because today we're going to be talking about that really uncomfortable topic, money. And if you haven't already joined us for part one of this series, today is part two, but our part one was it's already loaded on our website. It is your financial fitness plan. Be educated, be empowered, and take control of your finances. That's part one. And so you really want to catch up on that. It's an overview of your finances as you go through the process of divorce. But today, I'm really excited about this one. I've got my pen and my paper to take a lot of notes because today we are going to be talking about how to create a spending plan. They used to call it budgets back in the day, but now they call it a spending plan. And why? It's because we spend money. And now we're going to be talking with Karen Roberts. She's an amazing financial planner. She's a certified divorce financial analyst. We're going to be talking about how to create your spending plan, and also, how to reduce your debt and how to get out of credit card hell, which I'm sure that a lot of us are in. So we're going to be talking about just how to spend your money. And so I'm really excited about this one because the truth of the matter is that I need this today, right? And not just me, but I'm going to be giving this webinar today to my children because children need to learn how to spend their money and how to save and how to invest. So we're going to be talking about investing in our part three of your financial fitness. So we're going to be talking in our part three about how to create your vision for your financial future. So isn't that going to be exciting? So we've got part one, part two today, and part three about designing your financial life. So we hope you will continue to join us as I introduce my very special guest today. Her name is Karen Roberts. Karen is a wealth planning specialist and the owner of the Emerald Financial Group located in Deerfield Beach, sunny South Florida. The philosophy of the Emerald Financial Group is to live for today, plan for tomorrow. Using a hands-on approach, they educate and empower their clients to take control of their financial futures. Their success has been enhanced by developing close relationships that go far beyond finances. They are very proud of that fact. Karen has 25 years of experience in the financial service industry. She graduated from California State University, Northridge, with a bachelor's degree in business administration and an emphasis in economics. In 1997, she continued her studies through the American College and received her Chartered Life Underwriter designation. In 2003, she returned and attained her Chartered Financial Consultant designation. She recently continued her education. I love that she's always out there learning, and earned the designation of Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. Many of their clients many of their friends are their clients, but all of their clients are their friends. And that's what I love about Karen and her philosophy. She and her team take you by the hand and treat you like family. So if you have any questions today, like all of our other DivorceRxs and even our Tuesdays, we always have our guests available to you in our very private Facebook group area. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Karen, you can go back to our private Facebook group. As a matter of fact, right after this webinar, we're going to be going back there and answering your questions about your financial spending plan and any other questions that you may have about your finances. So there's a quick link if you need to join us. It's really, really an inexpensive proposition. You can become a part of our Facebook group and have some amazing support through all sorts of different experts, not only from Karen in finances, but we have attorneys back there, we have accountants back there, we have marriage counselors, we have child psychologists, we have real estate agents, we have insurance agents, we have mortgage brokers, because all of these people impact the divorce process. We also have life coaches and divorce coaches that are there to support you through this. So please take advantage of it. It starts at just $7 a month for you to become a part of this group. We have a link right here so that you can go to that right after this is over. It'll just take you a couple of minutes to become a part of our membership, and you can ask Karen all the questions that you want. So on that note, I would like to welcome my friend and the expert on your financial fitness, Karen Roberts. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Vicki. How are you?
So freaking excited about what we're talking about today, not just for me and not even just for our listeners, but this has a very personal connotation for me, and that's that I'm going to be able to take notes, teach my children how to create. I'm going to use the word budget because I'm old school, I'm old world, and I'll tell them it's their spending plan. For me, it's a budget. But I'm so excited because this is going to impact lives in a much bigger way than we had originally even intended. So I'm so excited about today. I've got my pen, I've got my paper, and I know that you have an amazing presentation prepared for us today.
Yes. Yes, I do.
So let's get started and let's find out how we can get out of credit card hell, how we can create a spending plan so that we can save our money, and then we can work next on our next series about how to invest it. So I'm really excited. So take us away.
Perfect. I am pulling up the presentation.
Remember, you have to hit on that share your screen.
Right.
Okay, perfect. This is awesome.
So, perfect.
There,
are we good?
There we go.
Okay, so again, as Vicki had said, this is part 2 of our Be Educated, Feel Empowered, and Take Control of Your Divorce Financially presentation. So please, if you didn't listen to part 1, go backwards and listen to part 1, and this is part 2, and part 3 will be coming up. So what are we going to talk about today? It's really taking control of your money. We're going to create a spending plan, how to do that, what that involves, why you want to do that. Then we're going to talk about credit cards, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
There's a lot of ugly in that.
Yes, there is. So why should we create a spending plan? Right? A good way to start taking control of your financial situation is to develop a personal spending plan. A spending plan is really a step-by-step plan for meeting expenses in a given period of time. So a budget always has had a negative connotation to it. To me, a budget means I can't afford what I want. A spending plan is all about making conscious choices on how to spend your money based on the income that you have coming in. So to me, it's a more positive way of thinking about figuring out your money and what you can spend and what you can't. So why follow a spending plan? It's going to help you reduce the anxiety of not knowing whether you have enough money to pay your bills when they are due, right? If we create a spending plan and we know how much our bills are and when they're due, and we know how much our income is, then we don't have anxiety over whether we can afford the bill payments because we already know we can, and we can then take control over our money rather than having the money take control over you, right? Especially as you're thinking about or going through or even post-divorce, there's enough anxiety in your life. We don't need money to be anxious. It helps you build assets that will improve the quality of life for you and your family, which basically means it helps you save money. So a spending plan is all about choices. Choosing consciously how to use your money. And you're going to hear me say that throughout the presentation. I'm not here to dictate to you how to spend your money. It is your choice. But once you understand your choices and you make conscious choices, it will be so much better for you. Knowing what your income and expenses are every month will help you take control of your financial situation. So what are the steps to creating a spending plan? So the first step is to keep track of your daily spending. Yes, I know everyone just rolled their eyes because they don't want to do this, but I promise it's not as hard as you think it is. Once we know what the daily spending is, then we're going to talk about your monthly income and your monthly expenses. So once we know what you spend on a weekly basis, then we can convert that to monthly. Then we're going to talk about ways to decrease your spending without it impacting your life, and hopefully find ways to increase your income. So a daily spending diary. What did I spend my money on today? How many people can legitimately answer that question when they sit down at 9 o'clock at night? Not very many. So here's my proposition to you. There's a couple ways that you can do a daily spending diary. You can keep a little note card like Vicki had to take notes on. Keep it in your car, keep it in your purse, keep it in your wallet, and take handwritten notes. You can take all of your receipts and snap pictures with them with your phone, and therefore at the end of the day you have all your receipts and know where you spent your money. Or you can simply use an app on your phone, and you don't need to buy an app. You can simply use a notepad on your phone or even the calendar that says at 9 o'clock I spent this, at 3 o'clock I spent this. I really like the calendar method because it shows when and where you spend money. Now, I don't need you to do this for 365 days. I don't even need you to do this for 30 days. I'm asking you to do this for 7 days. You're going to be amazed how many bottles of water you spend money on, how many cups of coffee you spend money on, how many trips to fast food that you make and how expensive they are. I promise you, by the end of the 7 days, you're going to be rethinking your money choices. So once we've done a daily spending chart, then we want to work on a monthly spending diary. How do I spend my money monthly? Now, we know that we pay bills, and so those are fixed expenses for the most part that we pay every month. But now that we have our weekly summary, we can translate that into the monthly. I know this is really small, and I apologize. I can barely read it either. But what this is a spreadsheet that we've created of where do you spend your money. It asks you what your salary is. It asks you what your other income, which for you would be alimony, would be child support. Or under expenses, you need to have alimony and child support. How much federal income tax do you pay? And the question is, are you overpaying and you get a huge refund, or are you underpaying? So all of this will come up. How much money are you putting into your retirement plan? A lot of people contribute to your 401k, but really have no idea how much they're really putting in. They just put in 3% or 5% or whatever the match is. So, and it continues, what do you pay for life insurance, transportation, how much are your car payments, your gas, your car insurance. So you see it's all kind of specific. You go through your housing expenses, and then we get to your miscellaneous expenses. What do you do for charity? What do you do for personal? What do you do for hair and nails? Are you getting your hair done every month? Dining out, gym memberships. So you see it's all kind of in there. And then there's plenty of lines so that if you do fast food a lot, or you do Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks every day, you want to put a line in there because you're going to be amazed how much money you spend that maybe you don't have to. So once all this is done, then at the bottom we see where your income is and where your expenses are. Now for some people, their income is going to be way higher than their expenses, and they look and go, but I never have any money at the end of the month. That's why, because where is that money going if it's not on this sheet? So other people will find out that their expenses are higher than their income, and then we have to work to trim the expenses. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, if anyone wants this spreadsheet, I will be on Facebook after this presentation. All you need to do is Facebook me, and I will get you the spreadsheet so that you can use it to track your own income and expense data.
Oh, that's an awesome gift, Karen. Thank you for that.
So one of the things I want to remind you when you do this, alimony to To the recipient, it's income. To the payer, it's an expense. And to those that receive it, it's taxable. And for those that give it, it's deductible. So remember, if you're receiving $5,000 a month in alimony, that is taxable income that you then need to either pay your quarterly taxes on or you're paying at the end. So keep that in mind. Or if you're the one paying the alimony, you get to deduct it, which helps with your taxes. So child support, again, is an income and is an expense, but it is not taxable and it is not deductible. So those are two big things when you are in the heat of getting divorced to keep in mind. When he says, or she says, I only want to pay $400 a month in child support and I'll pay the rest in alimony, that's because alimony is deductible to them and taxable to you. So be wary of those two. So let's talk about how to help you decrease spending. Okay, so first, obviously, we want to develop and follow a spending plan so that we know where our money's going. Cash. I try and keep a small amount of cash on me as possible. I have 4 children, and they like my cash. They think it grows on trees in the backyard is what I'm convinced. So, and for cash, it's really hard to track your spending unless you're really, really making an effort. So I try to tell people don't keep cash on, keep $20 on you, but really try to use a debit card so that you can track your expenses. Eliminate and control your use of credit cards, which we're going to talk about. Buy what you need versus what you want, which is basically making conscious choices. Okay, do you need that new outfit at Macy's or do you want that new outfit at Macy's? Do your kids need McDonald's for dinner tonight or do you want to buy them McDonald's for dinner? So it's kind of a different conscious way of thinking. I'm not saying that you can't buy the new outfit or you can't go to McDonald's, but I'm saying by going and doing either of those, then you're making a conscious choice not to have money to do something else. So use coupons. Use a grocery shopping list. You know, I know especially I have 4 boys and they all eat me out of house and home. So I know if I go to the store and I don't have a shopping list, I spend twice as much because I'm buying crap for them to eat. If I have and a lot of the times, they don't even like what I buy. So if you stick to your list, get them involved with your list, and shop for your list, you will be much better off. Another big money drainer is lunch. And many of you work, and many of you go out and buy lunch every day, or you have lunch delivered to your office. Lunch will run you $10 to $15 per day. Let's take the lower end at $10. 5 days a week is $50 times 4 weeks is $200 a month. I just wanted that number to sink in. Now, I'm not saying to never go out for lunch, but I'm saying, do you really need to go out every day and spend $200 per month on lunch? Make lunch, bring it in, and maybe make a conscious choice that maybe everyone in the office goes out on a Wednesday and you go out once a week. Now you're only spending $10 a week versus $50 a week. The last thing we're going to talk about is pay your bills on time. It's really important to pay your bills on time to avoid paying late fees. And we're going to talk about different ways which are going to help you manage your bills and get them paid on time. It's no fun to have your cable turned off and then have to pay $50 to turn it back on, or your cell phone, or your water, or worse, your electric, and you come home to no electricity. So you really want to, as you do your monthly budget, figure out a way to pay your bills on time. And so that brings us to the next thing, monthly bills and how to pay them. So when you pay your bills matters because, again, we don't want you paying late fees, ever. Late fees, there's no reason to ever pay them. So when you get your monthly bills, you need to sit down again with a spreadsheet and determine what bills are due when what is my income and how can I afford to pay? So what I find is a lot of people do pay off, their mortgage or rent is due on the first of the month, right? But then they end up paying their car payment and their car insurance and all their big bills on the first. And then they have no money to get them to the 15th. So by the time the 15th comes, they're going to the grocery store, they're going to Target, they're doing all this, and they run out of money. And then you're constantly in a cycle of not having money. So what I want you to do is figure out, I bring in X amount on the first and X amount on the 15th. Therefore, I can pay certain bills on the first and certain bills on the 15th. So for me, I've done that. My car payment is actually due on the 10th of the month. I actually pay it on the 20th of the month preceding that month. So I got myself a month ahead. Because I get paid on the 15th, it comes then out the 20th, rather than it coming out the 1st when my mortgage payment is due. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone. Also, when do you receive your alimony check, child support payment, or pay it? Make sure that's in line with when you pay everything else. And my other thing, go online and do auto bill pay. If you know your car payment is due on the 20th of every month, don't force the payment. Just go in and set up auto pay with your online bill pay, and then you will never be late again. You can online bill pay your FP&L bill, your electric bill. They'll allow you to average it out for the year and pay the same amount every month, so you'll never incur a late fee. Auto pay as much as possible, so when your money hits on the 1st, it's already gone on the 2nd and you can't see it. All right, so that's kind of how we do our monthly plans, and that's how we create our spending plan and we make our choices. But we all know that there's months where we have more bills than we can afford to pay, and here comes the credit cards. Okay, so we're really going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of credit cards. Some credit cards are good, some debt is bad, some debt is really ugly. So the good, it helps you keep track of spending, right? That's what we've kind of spent the first half of our time talking about. We want to keep track of our spending, and credit cards are good for that because you know where you spend your money. You can earn money back or miles or points with your credit cards, which you can't get with using cash or using anything else. And it's security against fraud, so that if someone does hack into your credit card number, you're secured against that. So there are some good points to using credit cards, and I do know people that do all of their spending on credit cards so they can track them and then pay it off at the end of the month. The problem occurs when you can't pay it off at the end of the month. So that's the bad. Help, I spent too much money this month and cannot pay all of my bill. And why is that? Because I didn't control and make conscious choices of what I was spending, and I went willy-nilly and went out and spent money. Oh, we decided a weekend trip to Disney was in the cards, not thinking how we were going to pay for it. So again, even when you're using credit cards, you want to make those conscious choices of what to spend money on. So that's the bad, is opening the bill and finding out that I can't afford to pay it. Which leads us to the ugly. Okay, so let's say you ran up a bill, $3,551 that you cannot pay. So now I'm going to teach you something that I thought everyone knew, but I realized that not a lot of people pay attention to their credit card bills. Why? Because they want to bury their head in the sand. See the little woman on the side? Help me. So what I learned with credit cards after the recession of 2008, credit card companies are now required to tell you what your minimum payment is, how many years it will take you to pay your debt, and what is the total cost. And it's also required to tell you in 3 years what your minimum payment is, and if you pay that for 3 years, what your interest rate will be. So let's say we have a bill for $35.51 we cannot pay. If we choose the 3-year payoff, we pay them $141 every month for 3 years, we will have paid $1,500 in interest. So that's $5,000 for my $3,500 balance. Was the trip to Disney worth it? Was the new outfit worth it? Was the food that you ate and forgot about worth it? But let's say I can't afford the $141 and I only want to pay the minimum payment. So you're going to pay $37 a month, which is a whole lot less than $141. It's going to take you 18 years to pay off that debt, and you will have paid $6,500 in interest.
Oh my gosh.
All of that is on your credit card statement. So
wow.
You can see how bad credit cards can be for you. So that's why we say there's the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to credit cards. Now, I know, again, sometimes you can't help it, but I will say if you have credit card debt, and we're going to talk about how to get out of it, but if you have a bill that comes in and you all of a sudden can't pay it, please never just pay the minimum. Do the 3-year payoff at least so it doesn't cost you that much money. Now, let's talk about what if I have debt, how do I get out of it? Okay, so first of all, we're going to create another spreadsheet. I know there's a lot of spreadsheets in this presentation, but this is the easiest way to do it. So first of all, you want to dig out all of your statements and list out all of your debts. Again, burying your head in the sand serves no purpose because the debts are there, the debts are real, and they need to be paid. So take all your credit cards, including your Macy's, your Target, all your department store credit cards, your Home Depot one, along with all the national ones, and list out all of your debts. Then I want you to rank them by the highest to the lowest value. So if you have one that's $10,000, that goes first versus the one that's $2,000. Then I want you to rank them by the highest to the lowest interest rate. Okay, so this is a whole second column. So this one I'm paying 25% interest on. This one I'm paying 4% interest. I don't know. I don't think there's a credit card at 4%, but let's assume there is. Okay, so what I want you then to do is crisscross. I want you to pay off the highest value with the lowest, the highest interest rate with the lowest balance first. And then once you pay that off, then you're going to continue that theory until all your debts are paid off. So again, I know this is confusing. I do have a chart that I can send you if you hop on Facebook after this. I'll be, again, more than happy to email you all these charts, and I'm more than happy to sit down with you and help you really figure out how do I get out of debt. Because once you're out of debt, it's awesome because money no longer controls you. You control your money. What do I do with my credit cards when I'm out of debt? Cool picture, isn't it? So here's my theory. If credit cards are in your wallet, you reach for them and use them. If you're not good about paying off the balance at the end, we've already seen what the ugly is. So my suggestion to people is to take their credit cards, don't cut them up, don't cancel them, put them in a Tupperware container, fill the Tupperware container with water, and put your credit cards inside of it, and then put them in the freezer. Okay, so now if you need to use a credit card, you have access to it, but you're going to have to defrost the credit card, which means you have to come home, go to the freezer, take it out, put it under hot water, take a hairdryer to it, whatever you want, and while you're doing that, you're really going to consciously think, is this purchase worth it? If it is, go for it, and if it's not, please put that right back in the freezer and don't use it. I know this is my favorite. People are like, oh, I never thought about freezing. I've heard of freezing credit cards, but not literally freezing credit cards.
That's brilliant. You know what? When that's sitting there waiting to melt, you've got a long time to think about that outfit.
Exactly, exactly.
I love that. That's cute.
So let's talk about credit as part of divorce, okay? If the charge was, because I know a lot of people get confused on this, they're like, well, it's his credit card or her credit card. She made the charges. The law says if the charge was made prior to the divorce decree being finalized, you are both liable for the debt, regardless of what the decree states. So even if the divorce decree says she's responsible for paying for this credit card, if she stops paying on it, his credit will be dinged. So you got to be really careful with your credit as part of divorce. Okay, the other recommendation is once your divorce is finalized, you want to cancel all the joint cards and get your own credit cards. Because if you don't cancel all the joint credit cards, he could go out and have a party on it and not pay it, and even though you're divorced, it's going to affect her. So be careful of joint credit. And that's the same with mortgages, cars. It's the same with any kind of line of credit. Which brings me to our last topic of your credit report. When was the last time you ran your credit report? For many people, they're scratching their head going, I don't run a credit report. Only when I apply for credit, they run it. Absolutely not. You can run your credit report for free. No, you don't want to go to myfreecreditreport.com. You know, they pay for all those commercials. It's obviously not free. But there is a government website that's annualcreditreport.com. You can go on and you can actually pull your credit report 3 times a year. Sorry. There's 3 different reporting agencies, and each agency allows you to pull a report once per year for free. So if you're on a website that asks you to put in your credit card, you're on the wrong website. Go to annualcreditreport.com, look at credit report. Make sure the debts and the charges and everything on there is correct, and if it's not, fight it. Pre-divorce, you should pull it. Post-divorce, you should pull it. And you should continue pulling it every year. Other little tidbit of information is your children. Please pull credit reports on your kids, because with all of the identity theft out there, kids are prime targets for identity theft because you'll never know it until they go to buy a car after college graduation. So pull your kids' credit reports also.
This is so great. This is such a great, I'm telling you, this was amazing. That just some huge ahas. I've done the freecreditreport.com kind of scam. This will save people just in their credit report things. Amazing. And you're right. I've never pulled a credit report for my children. And Connor and Kristen, if you're watching this, which I know you are, pull your credit report right now.
Absolutely. So remember today we talked about creating a spending plan and learning to make conscious choices about how to spend your money. Use your credit cards wisely and pull your credit pre and post divorce and at least annually.
Wow. This was amazing. I am so excited. Let me see. I've got, now this is not my normal sheet, but I mean, I have a smaller one, but this is how many, I probably got 10, 15 pages of notes here. This was so great. I'm so excited about this. Where I got a little hung up, let me go up to my notes, was about the chart where you were talking about paying off higher interest with the lowest amount. So
yes.
At the end of the day, though, the most important thing did I take away that the most important thing is to pay off the highest interest rate kind of regardless, right? Or
yes. So what you want
the lowest was that because you could get that one off, you could tick that one off the fastest and then there's nothing? Is that why you said that?
Correct, because you really want to get those lower balances paid off so that then you can add that money to the higher balances, but it depends also on the interest rate.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So if we have uh you know the no matter what, we want to start with the highest interest rate first, even if it's not the lowest balance.
correct, correct.
Okay. Okay. So uh you've got, is this a spreadsheet that you have that's available for us as well?
It is.
It is.
Yes,
Okay, so
yes,
this is
yes.
going to be so great. So when we go back there, if you have any other questions, um, in I'm thinking of my children. They don't have, they're college students, although they, I know actually my son is just a college student. My daughter now has her own. And he does have some money coming in. He's got a job at a grocery store up there in Tallahassee. So he needs to put that money in, no matter how small it is, whether it's child support, alimony, income, dog watching, whatever that is. However we come across money and how it comes into our path, we need to account for that and chart it.
Absolutely, absolutely, because otherwise we're spending money and we don't understand where it's going. And how many of us at the end of the month wake up and go, why am I broke? I don't know where I spent my money.
Right.
So if you're charting your money, you'll know where you spend it. So I will tell you that my oldest son he's in his second year of teaching. So he just graduated college 2 years ago. And he gets paid monthly. And prior to him moving to his new home, we sat down and created a spending plan for him because he gets paid once a month. So he gets, obviously he's a first-year teacher. He doesn't make a whole lot of money, but he has managed to create a spending plan and make good choices so that he saves money every month. Because I told him his priority is to save money, and that's going to be what we're going to talk about in part 3, is once we've learned to make those conscious choices, what do we do with that money, and how do we really save it?
I think that this is going to be such a great this is going to be such a great solution for so many people, because being able to confront your expenses and actually calculate, this is, as much as it can be painful, because this is painful for me too, and as much as it's painful, there is control on,
Yes.
when knowledge is power, right? And power is the freedom to be able to live within the box that you've created for yourself from your income, whether that is, and then the next thing that, we can even talk about for those people that are thinking, they're going through this, they're just getting started, they're even thinking about some career choices, and we have those kinds of experts available as well, because we want you to be able to use your passions and your skills, your talents, all of those things that that we can help you put together to create an income stream for yourself in a career that you love. I have a question for you. Do you have any ideas on how to motivate yourself to actually do the tracking? Sometimes it's really hard to stick with that. Because that's, to be really honest with you, this is not something that I do well. I am a big creative thinker. I'm an out-of-the-box, totally, right-brained, totally not logical, but the spreadsheet when everything has to line up, that's not me. How could you keep someone like me motivated? And I liked some of your other tips. Are there, and also I want to ask about some apps, but what can you do to motivate somebody like me that's a problem child when it comes to things like this?
So here's the motivation. You really have to do this for 1 month. Then at the end of the month, you're going to have your monthly plan, and you're going to know what your fixed expenses are, and you're going to kind of know what your variable expenses are, and then you're going to have free money. So once you decide how much money you're saving, then let's say at the end of the month you know you have $300 that is not accounted for. That's free money for you, okay? And so therefore you don't have to track it because you already know that. That's why I try and get people. So I'm not a good spending plan person either. I'm not analytical. I can be with other people, but it's really hard to do it yourself. And so what I've learned is that whole bill pay system. I get paid on the first, my bills get paid on the second, and whatever is left is what then I can willy-nilly spend, right? But I also know I don't get paid again until the 15th. So if I willy-nilly spend everything on the 4th, I go 11 days with no money. So therefore, that whole bill pay situation, automatically pay your bills, best advice I can give people.
I do that too. That one I do, and I make it so, one of the things that I don't do is I don't pay it so far ahead of when it's due because they use my money and I don't get credit for it, so it doesn't do me any good for them to have my money earlier than it's due. They don't give me credit, and they just use my money, for that. You talked about some apps, and I actually do like apps, and I use my calendar for some other things. Are there any apps that you can recommend that are free or inexpensive that you've seen out there that seem to keep people on track?
So I'm going to say yes and no. There are apps out there. I don't necessarily think you need to use an app. I think you need to use whatever works best for you. What I found, like there are apps out there like Mint that will do this financial planning for you. But what I find is they do so much that they become overwhelming and people don't do them.
Yeah.
Right? So there's really no simple apps out there because everything they want to create the world. Which is why I like, for me, I use my Notepad app so I can just notepad every day what I spend or take pictures of the receipts. So I believe there are apps, and I'm not sure which ones, where if you take a picture of a receipt, it will translate it into where you spend your money. But I'm not sure how good they are or how not good they are. I have to say I'm not really an app person, but you have to just use whatever you are comfortable using. So I'm going to say, Vicki, for you, because you're not good at tracking it, you're never going to follow an app. And if you think about, like, let's go to Weight Watchers, right? Weight Watchers wants you to track the food that you eat. That's really all we're doing, but we're tracking money. And if you use the Weight Watchers app, it's great because it's a novelty for the first week, and then you're not using it again because it got too confusing. So you have to find what works for you.
Right. And so one of the things, and I do this in business consulting as well, is, and I need to remind myself about it as well, is that a confused mind does nothing.
Exactly.
So, right? And I think that that's the advice on those apps, is that if it's, and I can understand exactly, because I've never looked at one, but I know exactly what you're saying when you say that, it's so overwhelming because they want to, for $3.99, they wanted to be able to give you the moon, but the moon is overwhelming. There's too much to do. There's too many options, too many tracking systems, and blah, 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 blah. Nothing is simple, and simple is really what we're looking for in this.
Exactly.
Got it. Well, I'm so grateful that we have some time to answer people's questions. We're going to go back there in just a minute. I want to remind everybody that when you are a member of the ChFC community that starts at just $7 a month, you have access to people just like Karen, who's an amazing certified divorce financial analyst. We have attorneys back there. We have accountants back there. We have marriage and family counselors and child psychologists. We have all of that. Real estate agents, insurance agents, mortgage brokers that are there to give you the advice that you need to help you go down this path, because we want to be your DivorceRx prescription for your divorce. And Karen, before we go back there, is there anything else that you would like to add as we go back over to our Facebook page? One last bit of advice.
The only thing is, please listen for part 3, because in part 3, we're going to really talk about, now that you've created your spending plan and you're making your good choices, what to do with that extra money, how to save it, how to grow it, and really what to do. So, and the other thing that I would like to say is this is important to everyone. So many people bury their head in the sand and don't seek out help and don't go through their papers and then find themselves in so much bigger problems than you currently are. It is better to know than not know. I always say knowledge is power. You need to know what you're up against. You need to have a plan to fight it, and you need to move forward, because otherwise it's going to come over your head and control your life instead of you controlling it. I've had many, many people show up in my office with a shoebox full of receipts and bills and credit card statements and go, here, help me, I don't know what to do. Right. So get help, because it doesn't go away by burying your head in the sand.
It doesn't. As a matter of fact, it probably gets a lot worse. Karen,
exactly.
Thank you so much. I'm looking, our part 3 is going to be amazing on your financial fitness as you go through the divorce process. This is, I can see, an amazing series for just anybody about money and being smart with how you spend it, and being single and after divorce, and sometimes, you know, life throws you a lot of, you know, curveballs. So we're here to help you through those times. I'm grateful that you're here today. My friend, we are going to go over to our live Facebook page right now. I look forward to seeing you all on there. Stay tuned for part 3 as we talk about how to invest that money and create your financial future. And that would be with the dreams for yourself that you want. So please join us for part 3, and it will be under www.TheCafeD.com, and look under the tab Your Money. That's where this is going to be. So we look forward to seeing you all over there. We'll see you back on our Facebook page in just a few minutes. Join us in our community. It'll just take you a couple of minutes to become a member, and we will answer all of your questions. Bye-bye for now. Thank you, Karen, so much. I so appreciate this, and I'm looking forward to part 3.
Thank you so much, Vicki. I love it. Thank you.
Bye now.